fresh out the box.
Fresh California plums.
Welcome to another episode of Fresh Film Fridays, the podcast where two dudes pick the newest films streaming or in theaters and discuss them. Today we're talking about the 2022 film, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and that was directed by Tom Gormican. I'm your co-host, Alec.
Oh, I'm Eric. Just kidding, it's Justin.
Is that that's even on Fresh Film Fridays now?
It's whenever I want, yeah.
It's just whenever you feel like it, you know? That's good. So Justin, this is like, would you say that Nicolas Cage is like in your top 5 favorite actors?
He's definitely top 10.
Top 10. Okay. So you follow his career. You like just him as a person. You like it all. This was kind of like the culmination of an actor's career. And, you know, I'm not a huge Nick Cage fan. I like him, whatever. But like you being a big fan, what'd you think?
I liked it. It was, I knew nothing about it. Didn't read anything at all. I meant to see it in theaters, but again, this was one of those movies where it came out and there was like a ton of stuff in theaters. And it's cool. It was like a movie about his movies, and then like he got to actually play an action star like he did in movies.
Yeah, like a spy. It was cool, man. This is different. I'm trying to think if there's any other movie like this where somebody, I mean, I guess like Curb Your Enthusiasm is kind of a version of that, where it's like Larry David's playing a fictionalized version of himself. And kind of like, you know, they're aware that he created Seinfeld, like all that stuff. And that's the only thing I could really think of. But have you ever seen a movie like this where a guy plays himself and it's all about him?
No. I feel like there's something out there, but this was pretty original.
Yeah.
Got a 7.1 on IMDb and an 86 on Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm not sure how there's such a big score difference. I do have some fun facts before we get into it, though.
Yeah. What's up?
So Nick Cage has earned roughly $200 million throughout his entire career.
Wow.
He's only worth $25 million now, though, because I'm sure everyone's heard about his massive debt issues. And I have a little snippet here of some of the things he's bought.
God.
So as his income went up, so did his spending. This is all between 2000 and 2007, by the way. He purchased 15 personal homes and 2 castles.
Oh.
A $7 million private island in the Bahamas, 4 luxury yachts, a fleet of exotic cars, a $30 million private jet, dozens of pieces of art jewelry, and a 67 million year old dinosaur skull.
Oh.
He also is an avid comic book collector, which I didn't know, and he had $1.6 million worth of comics. And in 2009, he apparently failed to pay the IRS $14 million.
And he didn't go to jail for that. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess his punishment was just having to do like 40 D-list shitty movies.
Yeah.
But honestly, like his budget for these films, like, because we've all seen like huge actors, like they're going to have different pay scales per movie. So like a few of his movies, like Wind Talker made like 20 million. He had like a streak where each movie made $20 million. So obviously your spending habit is going to be a certain way. And then like The Croods came out and he made 1 million.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, his career is so all over the place. I mean, you look at him like in National Treasure and you're like, that's like Harrison Ford status, like leader of a franchise. Like that's really cool. And then you're right. Then he does like The Croods and then like almost straight to DVD kind of movies a couple years later. So you're like, what happened?
He made 20 million for National Treasure as well.
Right.
And then some of them, yeah, like he just had a streak where they were making like 2 million, 4 million. So like if you don't adjust your spending habit, like I mean, again, I don't know why you need 15 homes. Like he owned 2 homes within New Orleans. Like why do you need that?
Dude, the boats, like why do you, or all the cars, the boats, like how much does Air Force One cost? Like, does he own a plane that's better than Air Force One? And for what reason? Like, I mean, he's like Francis Ford Coppola's nephew, right?
No.
Oh, yeah, dude. So I think he was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and it was credited as Nicholas Coppola. I think that was his first film. And I wonder if it's just like he was just born into this like rich family, and he just always had this complex where he just, I don't know, was always buying things or had things. So he just was just like an addict, just kept going farther and farther. I don't know. But same thing with like Johnny Depp. Like they spend so much money and they can't keep up with their spending, and then they lose everything. So I don't know, man. It's a scary world being that big of an actor, but he's doing all right, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the few guys that lost everything but still is living pretty comfortably.
Yeah. Well, there was a one line in the movie that really stood out to me. It was just like, people always criticize me for working too much. And it's like, you would never do that in any other career. Like, you would never say that guy works too much. And it was just like, that is kind of true. Like, people almost make fun of him for how many stupid movies he's in, but it's like, guy's always working. Like, he's always working.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's always working because he just loves to buy shit. But
Yeah.
that's true. Like, in other fields, like if someone does like 70 hours in corporate, everyone's like, wow, that dude's a workaholic. But if you come out with 4 movies in a year, they're like, oh man,
Yeah.
what's he doing?
Right. Isn't that strange? That really is weird. Like, if you're a lawyer or doctor and they're like, well, they're working nonstop, but like, whatever. But this is like, yeah, it's like he's doing something wrong almost. Like, he's doing too much work. It's strange.
Yeah, another fun fact is Pedro Pascal is actually a huge Nick Cage fan. And before he was an actor in the 80s and 90s, he would watch his movies. So it's cool that he got to play this part because he actually is a huge fan.
That is really cool. Yeah. I mean, this movie felt like a passion project kind of for everybody, for like Nicolas Cage. And then I don't know, because it felt like they were writing a movie about the movie they were making. And I wanted to know, like, is that kind of what inspired this? I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about it.
The director must be a Nick Cage fan. And they were like, I just want to make a movie about all the success of your movies. And we'll just like, Pedro Pascal must have been like, oh shit, like I need to be in this.
Yeah, and he's doing, he's doing really well right now. But it didn't feel like, because I look at Nicolas Cage's like Wikipedia, he said like 5 wives. So I wonder if like it's not really inspired by like his real life, because it seems in this movie he just has 1 daughter and 1 ex-wife that he's like, I'm going to try and get them all back, sort of thing. It's not like he's going to all of his 4 ex-wives and his multiple kids and stuff. I don't know. So
no,
yeah. Did you like that though? Like, because his ex-wife is Patricia Arquette and Lisa Marie Presley. So like, they could have mentioned them in this. People know who those people are.
Yeah, it was a strange mix of things that are true, and then I guess he like maybe didn't want his personal life too much in it.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's making a movie like literally about his life, but he's like, I don't want like my real kids or my real ex-wives involved. I don't know. What did you think of the like little Nicky, his like little mental whatever the hell that was, where the young Nicolas Cage? What'd you think of that?
That was good. I read up on that. Apparently, it was a depiction that a director had of him in one of the films. So that I don't think that was actually a role he ever did.
Yeah, I think it was just young him, right? Like very like a cocky, over the top sort of thing. Like it almost kind of seemed like Nicolas Cage was able to see himself as other people see him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then he, loves himself so much that he was making out with him.
Yeah, exactly that. But it felt like Nicolas Cage was never really self-aware. And there's that one scene where he's watching a film of his on his laptop, and the character that he's, the Nicolas Cage character is freaking out. And somebody like knocks on the door, and the Nicolas Cage that we're watching kind of gets like startled, because I feel like he's so enamored by like how crazy his acting is that he's almost just like, what the fuck am I doing, sort of thing. That's kind of what I got from it. Like a very like self-reflective film for him.
Dude, I like it because it had like little hints of just like cockiness throughout the movie. Like in the beginning when he had like lunch with that director guy.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, do you want me to read for you? And the guy was like, nah, you don't need to read for me, because I'm assuming these huge actors that everyone knows, they know they can do a part or not.
Yeah.
And then he just like, he read for him, and the guy was like, holy fuck. As if it was the greatest thing he's ever heard.
Well, no, he ruined it. He's like, you don't need to read for me. And literally him doing that made him not get that part.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. Okay. So really quick, let me explain that scene. So that's David Gordon Green. That's the director that's doing the Halloween trilogy right now. And he's the guy that did Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals, and Righteous Gemstones. That's David Gordon Green. He's a huge director right now.
Oh, right. He didn't get the part.
Right. So what happens is Nicolas Cage and him are talking. Seems like lunch is going well. And then Nick is so desperate for this role, he starts to overcompensate. And he's like, I'll read. And he's like, oh, you don't need to read. You're big enough actor where you just get the part, basically, if we want you. And then he's so like, I don't know why he does this, but he shuts the door and reads, and it's so bad. That's why he was just like, oh my God, like sort of thing. That was like this is not what I had in mind at all. And I thought we were on the same page. We're not. That's what that was.
Okay, right, because his Boston accent was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So that was it. And then he doesn't get the part, and then he has to take this $1 million birthday thing for Pedro Pascal, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. Dude, it's cool because he's referenced so many of his movies, like in Pedro Pascal's like creepy collection room. He had like the Con Air bunny,
Yeah.
the 9mm guns, and I've seen so many like interviews or like small snippets of actors, and they've flat out said like, oh, they never watched the completed movie or like seen the TV show straight through. Like a lot of them just look at it like a job. Like they go on set, they get paid, and then like that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I know Adam Driver doesn't watch any of his stuff. I mean, there are certain actors that like are just they don't like to watch what they do. You know, I don't know if Nicolas Cage is like that. Doesn't seem like he is.
I don't know. I feel like he does. Also, ton of movie references. Like I'm sure you haven't seen. I think it's called Jujitsu. It did terrible when
No.
he met Pedro and he did that awkward like fist in the hand bow thing.
Yeah.
That was from Jujitsu. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wanted them to mention Leaving Las Vegas, you know, because he won the Academy Award for that, dude, for Best Actor.
Yep.
And they didn't mention that at all. I was kind of surprised. I was like, maybe like, this is the bottle that you drank in Las Vegas or something like that. And he's like, you kept that? Like, I thought there'd be something like that because they never mentioned it, which I was kind of surprised.
Oh yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. The one thing that I thought was a little stupid is, you know, the two CIA agents or FBI or whatever.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
But they're like, we know everything about this guy. We've been watching him for years. You think just because you're an actor, you know more about him. It was never Javier was never doing anything wrong ever.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't the face. I mean, he was the face of it because the cousin wanted to remain behind the scenes, but he wasn't actually doing anything bad, and the
Yeah.
CIA didn't know that. I also like that male actor, the male CIA guy.
Yeah, Ike Baron Holtz, I think is his name.
Yeah, dude, he's always in like small parts, but he always makes me laugh.
Yeah, he's in Eastbound and Down. Remember, he's the Russian pitcher from season 3, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really like I don't know, because they're needed for the plot, like obviously. But the fact that they're like, we've been working on this for 5 years, and it's like you don't know that Javier's just the face. Then, like, really, you don't know his cousin's the guy running it. So I was like, whatever, it's fine.
I thought that was hilarious when they asked Nick Cage, like, you think your thespian acting is more accurate than our intelligence? And he was like, yes.
I did like that too. I also loved it when she was like, fuck Lisbon. And then she's like, wow, that was pretty loud actually. But seriously, like, fuck Lisbon. That was pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it was funny, you know, when they were the spy or whatever, when he had the poison on his hand and he touched it or whatever, like that was kind of funny, I guess.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, just he's really picked it up in the past couple of years. Like,
Yeah.
we reviewed Pig, which was great. This was a good movie. There's what was that movie called? Ghosts of...
Oh yeah, the Ghosts of the Pride Land, dude.
You watched it?
You will love Ghosts of the Pride Land. You got to watch that.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that. I saw the trailer. It looked insane. And then he's had a sprinkle of a few poor movies within that time frame, but like the last couple of years, he really picked it up because we talked about it on Pig, but like the decade before that, I mean, you really didn't hear his name. He was in like shit straight to like Amazon Prime movies. I think like Ghost Rider was like one of his like biggest last films.
Yeah, and that was pretty bad. But we didn't mention we didn't see Mandy, but we covered Willy's Wonderland, and that was like,
oh yeah,
still he doesn't have any lines, but he's on screen the whole movie.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, his career, it's a weird career, and in this movie, it kind of felt like an Eastbound and Down kind of thing. Like, I always thought it'd be really funny if they ever went back and did another season of Eastbound and Down, like Kenny Powers goes to like North Korea, almost kind of like Magic Johnson did, or Dennis Rodman, one of the NBA guys. They went to North Korea and they were like friends with Dennis Rodman. I always thought that would be kind of funny if they sent Kenny Powers over there. So that's the thing. I thought maybe like Nick Cage getting involved with like a drug cartel thing. I like that idea. That's just, he's out of his element. He's not in Hollywood. He's not acting, and then gets kind of, I don't know. There were a couple heartfelt moments that I really did like.
Yeah, they had Neil Patrick Harris in it. I forgot Demi Moore was in the end of it. It also kind of, surprisingly showed that he was struggling with money even in the movie too, because I mean, he's got like the most notorious spending habits in Hollywood besides like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I mean, they also talked about, like, didn't they say his divorces too? Like, your last divorce really set you back or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And his daughter, dude, I mean, his daughter like hates him. That all felt like real. Like the whole just daughter being like, you're selfish and I'm afraid to not have the same interests as you. And the other scene that really, I was talking about heartfelt moments earlier, is just when he like looked up at Pedro Pascal's character and he's like, I can't remember the last time I've had such a good time. He's like, I didn't want to come here, to be honest with you, but I genuinely had a really great time. I like that. And the ending, obviously, when they're watching Paddington 2 or whatever.
Isn't that the cartoon bear movie?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but that was a pretty common thread comedy in this film. I don't know. They just kept making the joke about it.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of moments were real as well. Like Cage put them in there, but there was like he meant it from his personal life. When I was looking up the cast on IMDb, I don't know how I did this, but I read the names wrong, and I thought that was actually his daughter in real life.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like his daughter's in it. And then I realized I just mixed the names and I was like, I'm an idiot. I don't know.
Yeah, I looked it up too because I was like, I wonder like how deep they're going with this, and I was like, oh, they're still keeping pretty surface level with the realism. But my favorite part, well, I guess the funniest part to me, on honest yours as well, but dude, when they were on acid and they just thought that those guys were looking at them, that reminded me of Pineapple Express. But like when they got in the car and they just like crash into all those bikes and stuff, and they're like, I was like, oh fuck. He's like, are they following us? He's like, no. And just like what if this is the movie? But that whole sequence felt really like real to me. Like when people are on drugs and they're running from nothing.
I like that also every time Nick Cage tried to like contradict something Pascal was saying, he would reference like a movie and he'd be like, not according to these statistics. He's like, you are the best driver.
Oh my God. Yeah, with the stunt. He's like, those are stunt people. It's like, not according to the commentary track on the DVD. And he's like,
Yeah.
fuck, dude. That was funny. Like, I really. And this is the kind of guy that has a career that's like big enough where this could exist, but he's also like not Harrison Ford where he wouldn't do a movie like this.
Yeah, I'm sure he loved the concept of,
Yeah.
of doing this about himself. And also, I'm curious how much he made.
I mean, couldn't have been too much. The budget was 30 and it made 28, dude. That's so bad.
Damn, it made 2 under.
Dude, yeah, it didn't even make its money back. So, first of all, even if a movie makes its budget back, that's not considered a success. Like, everybody wants to make a profit on it. So, if a movie doesn't make, like, millions of dollars more than its budget, then it's not a success. So, for a movie to make under, everybody just lost money on this movie. Everybody.
Yeah, I feel like you got to be a big Nick Cage fan to want to see this film. So, if you're not, you probably wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even just about Nicolas Cage though. Like even if you're just interested in Hollywood, like it's kind of a movie about the industry in a weird way, just about what can happen to an actor and when they're not hot and all this stuff. And I don't know. I think there's more to this than just a Nick Cage movie for me, at least. I don't know, because I'm not a huge Nick Cage fan, but I actually enjoyed it. I really did like the way it all flowed, and I'm trying to. I mean, could you think of another actor that this could work for? I have one, but I don't think he'd be as cool.
John Travolta.
That could work. That could work. Yeah, that'd be funny. I was thinking Bruce Willis or Samuel Jackson. I bet Samuel Jackson would actually be really fun, but his career's not as interesting as Nicolas Cage. It doesn't have as many lulls. Like he's kind of been on the up and up since like the 90s. Like Samuel Jackson's never really had like he's had bad movies, but he's never had a bad like career moment basically.
Yeah, I mean Cage has dozens of movies that are just not good.
Yeah. I also like the poster too. Where does it say Nicolas Cage as Nicolas Cage or something like that? No, Nicolas Cage is Nick Cage. I like that.
Yeah, I when I was reading about him last night, apparently he made a ton of poor real estate decisions. So like all the houses and properties he bought, some of them made a ton of money. Like some of them he bought and then a few years later he sold and like quadrupled his money. But a lot of them he lost money on too. And I'm not sure if he had to sell it due to money issues because they were like terrible. Like he bought some properties for like 7 million and sold them for like 2. So I feel like unless you're just so rich that they're just like whatever.
I mean, that's the thing. Like if you're buying that many properties, that becomes like a whole job in itself. Like you have to have somebody managing all this stuff. So you're paying somebody to do all of this and you definitely aren't utilizing all the space all the time. So you're just draining money for the sake of draining money. It just doesn't seem like it makes any sense. But if you had 200, would you say you had $200 million at one time?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money, but that's not that kind of money that that's like Jeff Bezos spending, for $200 million is a lot of money, but that's not, that you can't keep that up forever.
Yeah, I mean, he probably thought, like most big actors, that every film is going to keep hitting these $20 million marks and then he'd be fine. But eventually you get to a certain age, like Schwarzenegger, Stallone, they were massive action stars, but like you can't be a massive action star in your 50s. There's got to be a newer guy who's younger and doesn't look old as shit.
You'd consider Nicolas Cage an action star?
I would say he's more action than anything else.
Yeah, because I think didn't he say he's like, I'm a movie star? Like, don't you forget that.
Yeah, I mean, his biggest films were Wind Talkers, Gone in 60 Seconds, Face Off, Con Air. Those are all more like action oriented.
Yeah, but he has done like horror, he's done superheroes, he's done like indie films.
Oh, hey, he's done anything that pays, dude.
Anything that pays. Yeah, I mean, has he ever done a comedy? I guess like, Raising Arizona. That would have been a comedy. That was like one of his first kind of movies where he starred in, at least. Yeah, man. I don't know. Have you ever seen Leaving Las Vegas?
A long time ago.
Where he's just like, like the worst alcoholic of all time. And it's kind of, in a weird way, similar to this, where it's like a guy that he's a writer and then he loses everything. And he's like, well, I'm just going to go drink myself to death in Las Vegas. And that's basically the movie. And this movie's kind of like, I'm quitting acting after this sort of thing. And I'm giving up on everything. And it ends very differently. Leaving Las Vegas, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Leaving Las Vegas. I enjoyed this. These are probably my two favorite Nick Cage movies. I love Con Air. I haven't seen Face Off in forever, though. I barely remember it.
Oh, Face Off is sick.
Yeah, they made a lot of references where I'm like, I know this is from that movie. I just don't remember that movie.
That's great. Oh, so good. What would you rate it?
I think a 7.5 is pretty good for this. I was surprised with the ratings. Like, I think I went into it thinking it was going to be better than it was. A little long. I got to say, just a little long.
Hour 47?
I think that's a little long for this. I think this could have cut it down to an hour and a half.
Okay.
That's just me.
That's fair.
Me. But what about you?
I'll give it an 8.
Yeah. I mean, how does this like fit into your scale of Nicolas Cage films?
I would say it's one of his better ones, especially recently. I mean, if you asked me, would I rather watch this or Con Air? I'm going to pick Con Air.
Yeah.
I mean, Con Air and Face Off are like some of my favorite movies, just, not just Nicolas Cage movies. But I would say it's definitely one of his better ones recently.
Yeah. His acting is good, dude. And I feel like the older he gets, the more like toned down he is. He's not as over the top as he used to be. And I think that's helping him. Like, he's just getting old. Just an old man. He's like, when you see a dog and they just get old and they're like, oh, that thing doesn't like jump on everything anymore. It's just old now. Well, you got any last minute thoughts or we'll wrap up?
No.
All right. Well, Nick Cage, keep doing you, man. I hope you're happy. I hope you and your fifth wife are happy. She seems cool. Anyways, thank you everybody for listening in today. If you haven't had a chance yet, we released our episode on Obi-Wan, episode 6, the finale. That was on Wednesday. And we will be back on Monday with Freddy vs. Jason. We'll see you all next week with something new.